emergency by a Canadian worker. He said he was given the video to smuggle out of the country. Demonstrations against corruption and poor living conditions are taking place across Iraq on Friday. It comes despite a warning from Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki for people not to take part. 2 people have been killed during protests in Hawija in the north, and the governor of Basra has resigned amid protests there. We're also hearing of protests in Mosul and in the capital Baghdad. Thousands of people are converging on the city's Tahrir Square. AlJazeera's Jane Araf is in Baghdad, joins us now on the line. Jane, we've heard of violence and deaths in the north of the country. Anything where you are in Baghdad?
Well, here in Tahrir Square, Liberation Square, it's actually quite a season of chaos. You can probably hear these helicopters overhead. These are Iraqi army helicopters that are circling because there have been a group of some of the demonstrators, young demonstrators, throwing rocks and shoes. That prompted the army to come out and start beating some of them. And there was a near riot, almost a stampede on this bridge, one of the main bridges leading to the square that cut the city. Now, there was a curfew imposed late last night. A curfew meant to actually keep most people away from this protest, but in fact there has been a steady stream of people arriving here. Again, there's no real violence here, but certainly there were some minor clashes with police and the army, and the feeling that it could actually turn at any moment.
It sounds frenetic. Now, there seems to be a disconnect between what the Prime Minister is claiming the protesters want and the agendas that the Prime Minister is claiming the protesters are serving, and what they seem to be saying, that they're saying it's only about corruption, and he's talking about it serving the interests of the likes of Al-Qaeda and the Ba'athists. Who's right?
I heard that question, and it's a bit hard to hear over the helicopters and these masses of people. There's a big difference between Maliki's view of the world, the Iraqi government's view of the world, and the view of the world of Iraq, of these people on this bridge right now. And looking around me, these are mostly young men. They're young men who don't have jobs. They're young men who remember some of the repression of Saddam Hussein and thought that things would get better. Now, Prime Minister Maliki has warned that this demonstration was organized by Ba'athists, by Saddam loyalists, by Al-Qaeda. He's warned that there could be suicide bombs and snipers here. These people came out anyway because they're angry. They're angry because they believe that life for them would get better after Saddam was gone, and they say it hasn't.
Jane, do keep in touch, and thank you very much for that update from the middle of Tahrir or Liberation Square in Baghdad. And there are protests expected across the Arab world on Friday. In Yemen, hundreds of thousands of demonstrators are gathering in the main square of the capital, Sana'a, calling for the president to step down. And on Thursday, a pro-independence march in the south was marred when an activist was killed by a landmine. It happened in Laudar in the southern Abyan province, which is a stronghold of the secessionist movement. Well, in Egypt, thousands are gathering in Cairo's Liberation Square. They want military rulers to appoint a new cabinet, lift emergency rule, and release political prisoners. Look at those live pictures. On Thursday, Egyptian police detained the former information minister and state broadcasting chief. They are the latest arrests by prosecutors investigating corruption charges against former officials. Now, Kevin's here to tell us a little bit about those twisters in the States.
We are. This is the first time this year. Now, it happens every year, and we go into the springtime in the United States. They're very known for having severe weather. Last night we saw 10, and as we ramp up into the springtime, we can see days where we see 70, 80 tornadoes in a day. And this is during the tornado alley, you know, anywhere from Mississippi to Oklahoma, this particular area. So that's what we have seen. Let me show you what we can expect to see today.
Over the north of Beijing, as the visibility drops, you'll still see things with perfect clarity.
All right, this is what we're looking at right now. This is the area we were talking about. This frontal boundary, this is pushing through. Take a look what we're expecting to see as we go into Friday. Now, overnight, the tornadoes are usually their strongest, and that is what we're going to be seeing, our tornadic activity there. As we go into the next couple of days, we are going to be seeing some very heavy weather over the next couple of days, especially over towards the northeastern part of the United States. Over towards the west, well, it's a whole different story. We are going to be seeing very active weather here in California. We have a system coming down from the northern part of California, bringing some very heavy rain showers as well as snow. Now, over the next couple of days, these clouds are going to be moving down towards not only for Los Angeles, but also down in towards Mexico. Very heavy rain showers there. We could be seeing landslides as well as mudslides, all because of the very dry conditions as well as the wildfires that we saw last spring. Also, the other big story across the United States is the snow across parts of the northern United States. Anywhere from the Central Plains over to Chicago, we are going to be seeing heavy snow there. Chicago O'Hare Airport is going to be seeing some delays in their forecast because of the very heavy snow showers.
Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
Still much more to come on the program, including why U.S. motorists are feeling the effects of the ongoing unrest in the Middle East. And Ireland's ruling party braces itself for a possible bruising as elections get underway.
Thank you.
Oh no! It's an astonishing moment.
We are globally yours. Two generations face the past in order to understand the present. A young man embarks on a journey with his father in search of answers. Great changes in China have brought their traditional family way of life to a crisis point. Faces of China, at this time on Al Jazeera.
You're watching Al Jazeera. A reminder of the top stories. The UN Security Council will meet on Friday to discuss possible sanctions against Libya. Also on the table, a request to the International Criminal Court to indict Libyan leaders for crimes against humanity. NATO Secretary General Anders Fogh Rasmussen has also convened an emergency meeting. He says priority must be given to evacuation and humanitarian assistance. And Al Jazeera has learned that discussions are underway among Libyan leaders, including defected ambassadors and ministers, to form an opposition political body to lead the country.